Cody finally tells Mac the truth, and right after his campaign announcement, Drew crosses the line with, spoiler. Today on General Hospital, Sasha learns Nina and Drew have been hooking up. Drew's last name change becomes official, and Mac learns the latest developments surrounding Heather. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At a public venue, Congressman McConkey makes a speech announcing his decision to resign as his term ends. Drew stands by his side. In the Quartermain kitchen, Sasha and Olivia watch the broadcast and comment on how good Drew is looking. Felicia, Georgie, Mac, and Portia are watching the TV broadcast from the side room. Felicia suggests Georgie, who is bored, go swim in the pool. She refuses because it's filled with boys. On the patio, Tracy watches the broadcast on her phone. McConkey says he supports Drew Quartermain in taking over his seat, and Tracy is stunned that he is using the Quartermain name. Back at the event, Drew thanks everyone, and confetti cannons go off. At the Quartermains, everyone puts up decorations to celebrate Drew and the 4th. Felicia and Portia talk to Tracy about Drew's campaign and how she must be worried about all eyes being on their family. Tracy worries that if he wins, then it will be 2 years with eyes on them. Ned says they've been through this before when he was mayor. Tracy says being mayor and being a congressman are 2 different things. Olivia slaps a Drew Q for you pin on her and tells her to cheer up. Curtis arrives, and he and Michael discuss keeping Aurora afloat while Drew is campaigning and later when he has to go to D.C. Sam says it's not foregone that he'll win, but Willow, Jordan, and others are putting their money on Drew. Drew and McConkey arrive to applause. Drew thanks them all for their help and for McConkey's wisdom and endorsement. Nina follows them, and McConkey says he couldn't have done it without Nina's help either. Tracy blurs out, who the hell invited her? McConkey explains it was because of Nina that he first met Drew. Tracy tells Nina, I applaud your commitment. You didn't completely ruin Drew's life by turning him into the SEC, but pushing him into politics will. Nina turns and walks out, and Willow races after her. Drew asks Sam what she thinks about his running. She is more concerned about how it went with Scout. He says she's excited to be a Quartermain, though the politics she doesn't much understand. Sam seems off, and Drew says Kane was a name given to him by the government. It wasn't his birth name. Sam says it will just take time to get used to the new name. Dante interrupts and congratulates Drew, and he and Sam walk off. Willow finds Nina sitting alone in the side room and asks if she's okay. Nina sometimes forgets how much universal contempt people have for her, and then Tracy comes along to remind her. Willow says it's not universal, and Nina notes that's good to know. Nina asks how she feels about today. Willow says she's been disillusioned by politicians in the past, but Drew's made her feel hopeful about change. Nina admits she feels the same, which she knows is surprising given they can't stand one another. However, Drew's built a bridge between the 2 of them, which has made her see him in a different light, and made her realize she clings to grudges too tightly. Willow admits she's guilty of the same. More, they aren't going to kill Alba, are they? Back in the living room, Mac is welcomed home by many. Laura tells him that they all missed him. Mac is sorry about Spencer, and Laura says it still feels unreal. However, today is a happy day. Ned is glad to be out of politics and not to have to deal with the Heather Weber business. Mac asks what business. Jordan thinks they should save it for another time, but Laura says Mac will learn eventually. She tells him that Heather may not have been responsible for many of her actions from a medical standpoint. Portia walks out, and Curtis follows her. Laura explains the metallosis that Heather was diagnosed with and that her case could be reopened. Mac argues Heather nearly killed him and Felicia, and Laura was there on Spoon Island. Laura explains the theory is she may not have acted that way if not for the metalysis. Mac says the world is full of toxins that don't turn people into killers. Laura says neither of them are doctors, so she's going to leave this to the experts to handle. In the foyer, Tracy jokingly asks Drew if they've met and asks what his name is. He says, "Drew Quartermain, do you mind sharing a last name with me?" Tracy tells him that a Quartermain always has her vote and that Alan would be very proud of him. Sasha catches Nina stealing some cookies in the kitchen. Nina says she can't believe she didn't know how talented Sasha was at cooking. Sasha says she is full of surprises, and she's shocked Nina went to Drew's big announcement, given they didn't get along. Nina says something has changed between them, and they have more in common than they thought, and are seeing another side of one another. Drew finds Willow in the side room and asks to hide out with her. In the stables, Cody teaches James about cleaning the horses' hooves. James asks if he learned about horses from his dad or brother. Cody says he didn't learn from his dad and doesn't have a brother. James says he doesn't have one either, but Cody is just as good. Cody is shocked and says he really doesn't know what it's like to be a big brother. Sam and Dante walk in, and Dante says not to listen to Cody, as Cody was like a brother to him growing up. James asks how they can be brothers if they have different names. Dante and Sam say that means it's just that they've chosen to be family, which makes it even more special. James asks Cody what he says if he wants to be brothers. Cody and James make it official, spit and shake on it. Later, it's just James and Cody tells James he hopes he doesn't let him down as being a brother is a big responsibility. James knows he won't as he's the best. Mac and Georgie arrive to find James and say the fireworks are about to start. James promises to record the fireworks for Cody since he has stayed behind to work. Georgie and James run out, and Mac hopes James isn't too much for him. Cody says he loves the kid and says he reminds him of Mac. Mac says James talks about him all the time and wants to be just like him when he grows up. Cody thinks James is way too smart to be stuck in a barn taking care of horses. Mac thinks if he had 2 lives, he would like one to be just like this. Mac tells him about growing up in Australia, and while he was away, he got reminded of camping under the stars and how much he enjoyed it. Cody asks if that is why he stayed away so long. Mac says it's not, but he made a commitment long ago and had to honor it. Back in the mansion, Laura tells Felicia that she hopes she didn't bring things down for Mac. Felicia says Heather just brings a lot out in a lot of people. Ned announces the fireworks are about to begin, so people file down to the lakefront. More when calls the Heart spin-off coming. Portia stays behind to talk to Laura. Laura knows she's angry with her. Portia simply wants her assurance that Heather will stay in Pentonville. Portia doesn't understand why she'd go to bat for Heather rather than the people who should be protected from her. Laura reminds Portia it was her diagnosis that got this ball rolling. Sam and Dante are the first at the lake house. Dante asks how she feels about Drew running for Congress and is dropping it on her. Sam says clearly Drew and Jason know how to compartmentalize, but it's done, and all she can do now is support him and show up at a rally now and then. However, she is worried about Scout as this new career could hurt her in all kinds of ways. She worries that Drew will be away a lot, but Dante says he has a plane at his disposal. Sam can't believe she chose Drew and Jason to have kids with when they both can't prioritize their own children. Dante says Scout and Danny have them to rely on, and they kiss. Back in the side room, Drew and Willow both say they need a moment away from the others. Willow tells Drew how proud she is of him and how everyone can see he's dedicated to following in McConkey's footsteps. Drew thanks her and says if he wins, some things will change for them, He says he'll be in DC a lot, leaving her to deal with the Institute. Willow jokes that she plans on lobbying him hard for support once he gets into Washington. She also enjoys the change from the hospital, as she gets to dress up and put on perfume instead of being in scrubs all day. Drew notes she could win a beauty contest in scrubs. In the kitchen, Sasha guesses what is going on between Drew and Nina, as she's picked up on the vibes between them. Nina says they aren't advertising it, and it only happened a few times. Nina says it won't happen again, well, probably. Sasha says no judgment, Drew is hot, and she's glad to see her happy and laughing again. However, now that she's had her fun, it's probably best to stop, because this can only end in disaster. Nina thinks that is a strong word, and it's just a little fling. Sasha just worries as Nina was in love with Sonny, and Drew with Carly, and those feelings don't go away overnight. Nina understands, but there's nothing wrong with wanting a bit of human touch, and it's hard being alone when you are used to being in a couple. She thinks Sasha knows that. Sasha does, and maybe she was too careful with her heart, but that's better than getting it broken again. Later, Sasha has vacated the kitchen. Curtis enters and invites Nina to go watch the fireworks. Michael arrives and Nina turns Curtis down and suggests she go. Curtis says they will have to work together now more than ever, and will that be doable, or will one of them have to always leave the room? Elsewhere, Willow hopes she didn't give Drew the wrong impression. She waxes about how important he is to her, and how she will do everything in her power to help him win. However, selfishly, she'd miss him if he moved, and he says he'd miss her too. They move in to kiss, which Sasha walks in on. In the foyer, Tracy and McConkey come down from seeing Monica. He asks how long Monica has been laid up, and Tracy explains it's been a rough year for her. McConkey understands and reveals he has stage 4 lung cancer. Tracy says her father hated illness, and McConkey says they both know what a pain in the ass he was too. Tracy says he should come over for dinner sometime soon, and tells him to take care of himself as he departs. The fireworks begin, and at the lake, Felicia wonders where Mac is. Back at the stables, Mac and Cody step out to watch them. Suddenly, Cody blurts out, "I'm your son." Mac spins around. On the next General Hospital, Joss and Trina toast to something. Gia says, "I never would have guessed." Laura tells Portia that her goal is to see that justice is served. Nina tells Curtis and Michael that she feels like she's getting a second chance to make things right. Willow tells Drew that she's starting to wonder if it was completely random. Mac asks Cody, "What did you say?" Maxie asks, "Why did you lie?"